When Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth indicated that Pentagon leakers could be charged, was he using reverse psychology, or is he just oblivious? In the last little over a month, Mr. Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, has committed 2 leaks. I guess apparently one is considered a spill or a spillage, given the fact that he indicated, which I did a video on this on my YouTube channel, about the first signal leak. He indicated that he didn't realize that there was a reporter on the Signal app, and that he discussed what he considered to be non-classified information, which we know now to be false. So there are also a lot of firings going on. In fact, 3 people were fired last Friday, and at which point some people who worked for the Secretary of Defense were trying to give an anonymous story to reporters in which they alluded to the fact that the 3 may have been involved in leaks, like sensitive leaks. But from those in the know, apparently this is the culture of the Department of Defense currently. There's a lot of chaos going on, a lot of firings going on. And apparently there's going to be more stuff to come pretty soon next week, is what people that know are saying. Additionally, it's like this information is contrary to what was shared by some of the 3 who were involved in this incident. One person was told that there were going to be polygraph tests taken and to determine who was telling the truth and who wasn't, and that this particular person said that they were told that they would easily be cleared. But there is a culture of essentially trying to cover oneself in this and maybe create chaos where no one really knows what's going on, so that they can kind of escape maybe responsibility. And so in this particular instance, it was seen that this was not only blatantly false, but also it went along with a culture of trying to kind of cover up things that could easily be disproven. So also Politico announced on Friday that Hegseth's chief of staff, Joe Casper, would be leaving. He actually ordered the investigation into the Pentagon leak that happened, the first leak that happened. And also it included military operations and plans for the Panama Canal and a pause in collection of intelligence for Ukraine. So what's looking to happen with more firings is Hegseth is going to be without 2 of the advisors that he's had for over a decade. Caldwell and Selnita, and there will be without chiefs of staff for him and his deputy. So more firings are coming apparently. The sources say that there is a lot of building in disarray due to Hegseth's leadership. Also, a new development that I've learned about is that Hegseth is actually facing an inspector general investigation into possible leaks of classified information and a violation of the records retention protocol. Wall Street Journal has also reported, and other reporters, that Hegseth brought his wife, who is a former Fox News producer, to 2 meetings with foreign military counterparts where information was discussed that was not supposed to be discussed with mixed company, essentially. So the Pentagon also had set up a key secret briefing meeting for chiefs of staff on China for Elon Musk, who still has extensive business dealings in China and interests in China. After learning about it, the White House actually canceled that, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because it was set, and Elon Musk does have interests in China. So Sunday night, the New York Times also reported that Hegseth had shared details of Yemen strike in another signal chat with his wife and with his brother. This can be clearly differentiated from his first one. In his first one, he said that he didn't realize that the chat was compromised. He didn't realize that he was talking to someone who was not in there, who was not supposed to be in there, meaning the journalist Jeffrey Goldberg. However, in this particular case, he obviously knew that this was secret information, classified information, that his brother and his wife should have had no information on at all. And so it says, again, there's bigger bombshells coming next week. Key Pentagon reporters say privately. And despite Hegseth's denial of the details he shared, 2 hours before the airstrikes hit Yemen, almost certainly were classified, according to retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel Mick Wagner. And he says, Mick Wagner also goes on to say, a launch of an attack, there is no way, no how, that an American military operation starting off is going to not be classified. So clearly another example of him not being honest. I think there's multiple occasions where he's denied. However, seeing at the fact that even when he's caught red-handed, he tends to, again, deny, even when there's proof. But for Jeffrey Goldberg, the reporter, we probably wouldn't know the full extent of what was sent. He denied that he sent classified documents, however, or classified information. It's clear that he had actually done that. The White House, through Caroline Leavitt, is saying that he's doing a fantastic job. Obviously, in a month's time, he's had 2 really big screw-ups. The difference between the first one and the second one is that his defense is that he shared details with people like his wife. So he knew that she was not one of the people that should have had that information. And he knew that they were not authorized to have that information. That is knowingly. Even the lieutenant colonel goes into talking about last time he was using an insecure communication device. He thought he was sending to only security clearance holders, says Kevin Carell, who has 30 years in the Army, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, called it a spillage. Now, the difference is he knowingly was using insecure communication device, and he's knowingly giving classified information to people who he knew did not have security clearance. They were not security clearance holders. It's really more than a spill. It is a leak. And it really goes more to the sort of willfulness that is typically prosecuted by the Department of Justice. So several current and former military prosecutors and defense attorneys agreed. There is no precedent for the Secretary of Defense to willingly divulge operational plans against a hostile military force. There's been no precedent for that. Yet Pete Hegseth has willfully, after getting by with it the first time through inadvertence or accident, he says, is now doing it a second time. And this time he's being more blatant. He's being more standoffish about it and more hostile about his own behavior. So if you got some value from the video, please like and subscribe, and appreciate it. Hope you have a great evening, and check out my first video on the first signal leak if you're interested, or spill, whatever you want to call it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.